In just 2 years, some of America's most infamous criminals are set to walk free. These aren't petty thieves. They are individuals whose crimes shocked the nation. Their return to society raises chilling questions about justice, rehabilitation, and public safety. Who are they? What did they do? And is it possible they could be living next door to you by 2026? Stick with us as we count down the top 10 notorious criminals scheduled for release. You won't believe who's at number 1. Coming in at number 10 is a name that once dominated headlines for financial fraud on a massive scale. Think of a modern-day pyramid scheme artist who didn't just steal money, but shattered lives and futures. This individual masterminded a complex web of deceit, conning investors out of hundreds of millions of dollars. Families lost their life savings, retirement funds vanished overnight, and the ripple effects were devastating. While they weren't physically violent, the financial ruin they caused was a different kind of life sentence for their victims. Sentenced to a lengthy prison term, their scheduled release in 2026 is a stark reminder that financial crimes can carry less time than many expect. The question remains, have they learned their lesson, or will they find new ways to exploit the system? At number 9, we have a case that blurs the line between misguided activism and domestic terrorism. This person was a key figure in an extremist group responsible for a series of bombings and acts of sabotage against corporate and government targets. While they claimed to be fighting for a cause, their methods spread fear and resulted in significant property damage and, in some instances, serious injuries. Their trial was a media circus, debating the definition of terrorism versus protest. The judge ultimately handed down a sentence that, to many, felt too lenient. Now, with their release date looming, former members of law enforcement and the communities they targeted are watching closely, concerned about a potential resurgence of their radical ideology. Number 8 on our list is a former high-ranking public official whose name became synonymous with corruption. This individual used their position of power not for public service, but for personal enrichment on an astonishing level. We're talking about backroom deals, kickbacks, and selling influence to the highest bidder. Their actions eroded public trust and tainted the very institution they swore to uphold. The investigation uncovered a deep-seated network of bribery and deceit that reached the highest levels of local government. Their conviction was seen as a major victory against corruption, but their relatively short sentence has many questioning if the punishment truly fits the crime. As 2026 approaches, there's speculation about whether they'll attempt a quiet life or try to re-enter the public sphere, memoirs and tell-all interviews in hand. Next, at number 7, is a chilling case of a cult leader who held sway over a small, isolated community. This charismatic but manipulative figure convinced followers to surrender their assets, sever ties with their families, and submit to their absolute control. While the group never escalated to the deadly violence of some more infamous cults, the psychological and emotional damage inflicted on its members was profound. Stories emerged of extreme manipulation, exploitation, and abuse of power. The leader was eventually brought down by a few brave escapees who exposed the dark reality behind the utopian facade. Their upcoming release raises serious concerns about their potential to attract new, vulnerable followers and start the cycle all over again. At number 6, we delve into the dark world of organized crime. This individual was a high-level enforcer for a notorious crime family, known for their ruthlessness and efficiency. Their rap sheet included extortion, racketeering, and conspiracy, though law enforcement always suspected their involvement in much darker, more violent acts that could never be proven in court. They operated in the shadows, instilling fear and maintaining the syndicate's iron grip on its territories. Getting them behind bars was a major blow to the organization, the result of a long and dangerous undercover operation. Their release in 2026 is a worrying development for law enforcement, who fear it could signal a power shift or a violent resurgence of the old guard in the criminal underworld. We're now at the halfway point, and the cases only get more disturbing. At number 5 is a hacker who went far beyond simple data theft. Known in the digital underground by a shadowy alias, this cybercriminal orchestrated one of the largest security breaches in US history, compromising the personal and financial data of millions of Americans. But it didn't stop there. They used this information for large-scale identity theft, blackmail, and to cripple critical infrastructure systems, causing chaos and widespread panic. Their capture was a landmark event for cybercrime units, but technology has evolved exponentially since they were imprisoned. Experts worry that upon release, their old skills combined with new tech could make them more dangerous than ever before. Number 4 brings us to a case that sparked a national debate on the justice system. This individual was convicted in a highly controversial manslaughter case. The circumstances were murky, involving a confrontation that ended tragically. The prosecution argued for murder, while the defense claimed self-defense gone horribly wrong. The public was fiercely divided, with protests and rallies on both sides. The eventual manslaughter conviction and sentence were seen by some as a miscarriage of justice and by others as far too light. Their impending release in 2026 is guaranteed to reopen old wounds and reignite the passionate debate that surrounded the case from the very beginning. The community where the incident occurred is bracing for a tense and emotional homecoming. Entering our top 3, the crimes become truly heinous. At number 3 is a convicted kidnapper whose case sent a wave of fear through every parent in the country. This person executed a meticulously planned abduction, holding their victim for a prolonged period in a hidden location. The psychological terror inflicted on the victim and their family was immense. The nationwide search and the eventual discovery of the victim was a miracle, but the scars from the ordeal remain. The kidnapper showed a terrifying level of patience and cunning, making their crime all the more frightening. The thought of this individual being free to walk the streets again in 2026 is a terrifying prospect, a living nightmare for the family they targeted and a chilling thought for the public at large. At number 2 is an individual who was part of a duo responsible for a string of violent armed robberies that terrorized an entire region. They were known for their aggression and unpredictability, often escalating situations with unnecessary force, leaving a trail of traumatized victims in their wake. Their crime spree was like something out of a movie, with high-speed chases and dramatic shootouts with police. While they were not the mastermind, they were the muscle, the one who carried out the most violent acts. Their partner received a life sentence, but due to a plea deal, this individual received a lesser term. Their release is a source of extreme anxiety, especially for the victims who had to face them in court and still carry the trauma of their encounters. And now, the number 1 most notorious American criminal set to be released in 2026. This is a name that is synonymous with betrayal and cold-blooded crime. We're talking about a so-called Black Widow convicted of plotting the demise of their wealthy spouse to collect a massive insurance payout. The case was a labyrinth of manipulation, deceit, and calculated cruelty. They played the part of the grieving partner to perfection, but investigators slowly unraveled a sinister plot involving a secret lover and a carefully orchestrated accident. The trial was a media sensation, revealing a chilling lack of empathy and a frighteningly sharp mind dedicated to a monstrous goal. The evidence was overwhelming, but legal maneuvering resulted in a sentence with the possibility of parole. Their scheduled release is the most shocking of all, a testament to the fact that sometimes even the most cold-hearted criminals eventually see the outside of a prison cell. The question on everyone's mind is, what happens now? These 10 individuals represent a fraction of those re-entering society, but their stories are a powerful reminder of the complexities of crime and punishment. What do you think about these upcoming releases? Let us know in the comments below. And if you found this countdown as shocking as we did, be sure to like this video and subscribe for more deep dives into true crime. Thanks for watching.